For more than 3 decades, Harrison Ford stood as one of Hollywood's most recognizable and respected figures, known worldwide for portraying legendary characters like Han Solo in Star Wars and the adventurous archaeologist in the Indiana Jones franchise. To the public, he embodied confidence, rugged independence, and quiet charisma. But behind the scenes, a far more layered and private reality was unfolding, one that remained hidden for 30 years and has only recently come into sharper focus. Throughout his career, Ford maintained a carefully controlled distance from the celebrity spotlight outside of his film work. While many stars embrace publicity, constant interviews, and glamorous exposure, Ford consistently projected an image of reserve. What few realized was that this distance was not merely personality, it was protection. Over 3 decades, he built and preserved a deeply private parallel existence, separate from red carpets and blockbuster premieres. This double life was not scandalous in the sensational sense many headlines might suggest. Instead, it was defined by intentional separation between public identity and personal purpose. While audiences saw a global superstar commanding the screen in franchises that shaped pop culture, Ford was quietly dedicating time to passions that had little to do with fame. His aviation pursuits, environmental advocacy, and private family life were managed with remarkable discretion. He was not simply an actor off camera. He was a pilot, conservation supporter, craftsman, an intensely private individual who resisted being fully absorbed by Hollywood's machinery. Maintaining that separation for 30 years required discipline. The entertainment industry often blurs the line between persona and person, but Ford refused to let the roles he played define his entire identity. Friends and colleagues have long described him as grounded, practical, and somewhat uncomfortable with excessive celebrity attention. That discomfort may have been part of what allowed him to sustain this dual structure. One life for the cameras, another lived deliberately out of view. Fans are now reflecting on how skillfully he managed this balance. During the height of his career, when franchises like Star Wars dominated global box offices, Ford avoided becoming a constant tabloid fixture. He granted interviews selectively and rarely indulged in oversharing. In an era before social media magnified every detail of a celebrity's routine, he still managed to guard his inner world with precision. The result was a public image that felt strong and steady, yet never fully exposed. The revelation that he consciously maintained this parallel existence for 3 decades reframes his legacy. It suggests that his strength was not only in performance but also in restraint. In a culture that increasingly rewards constant visibility, Ford's approach appears almost radical. He demonstrated that it was possible to be one of the most famous actors alive while still preserving autonomy over personal identity. Observers point out that this duality may have contributed to his longevity. By refusing to let fame consume him entirely, Ford avoided the burnout and overexposure that often shorten careers. He stepped away when needed, chose projects selectively, and prioritized life outside the studio system. That independence strengthened both halves of his existence, the public legend and the private man. The phrase double life often implies deception, but in Ford's case, it reflects intentional boundary setting. He did not fabricate a persona. Rather, he revealed only what was necessary for his craft. The rest remained his own. For 30 years, audiences saw the adventurer, the hero, the fearless captain. Simultaneously, he cultivated a quieter world grounded in real-life responsibility, passion, and introspection. Now, as fans revisit his career with this understanding, they see more than iconic roles. They see a person who mastered not only cinematic storytelling but also the art of living privately within a public career. His journey underscores a larger truth about fame. Visibility does not require total exposure. In the end, Harrison Ford's so-called double life is less about secrecy and more about balance. For 30 years, he navigated 2 realities without allowing one to erase the other. That discipline, perhaps even more than his legendary performances, defines the depth of his character.